parole is called to order. Today is Thursday, January the 5th, 11:57 a.m. My name is Brendan Kelsey. Along with me is Ms. Bonnie Jack. Cheryl Renato will be panel. Staff and support a seat at DOC Baton Rouge. Our remote location is Union Parish Detention Center with staff and support at Union Parish. Introduce yourself. Do you have anybody in the room, staff or support in the room? Anybody?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I do.
They need to introduce themselves.
Yes. Come. Sarge. Come here. You need to introduce yourself.
Sergeant Walter Givens.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Ready for our first case. Please introduce yourself, state your name and DOC number.
My name is Jeremy Lucas Pender, DOC number 747341.
Jeremy, the introductions, we're here for a parole revocation hearing. Well, I'll ask you some rule violations. You'll plead guilty, not guilty, guilty with a statement, or not guilty with a statement.
Yes,
we'll
sir.
ask some questions. You can respond. At the end, you can make a statement. We'll take a vote. Do you understand the process?
Yes, sir.
Can you read and write?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a parole revocation questionnaire in front of you?
Yes, sir, I do.
That's your signature at the bottom,
Yes, sir, it is.
right? Jeremy Pender, DOC number 747341. Rule violation number 4, you were arrested on September 5th, 2022 for committing an offense of domestic abuse battery, docket UNN hashtag 60352. The offense occurred on or about September 3rd, 2022. You pled guilty to disturbing the peace on October the 19th, 2022, and was sentenced to time served in Union Parish Detention Center. How do you plead?
Guilty to disturbing the peace, sir.
All right, would you answer Ms. Jackson's questions, please?
Good afternoon, Mr. Pender. How are you doing?
Could be a lot better, ma'am.
You've been detained on a parole hold since September, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You were arrested for domestic abuse battery against Brittany Hampton.
Yes, ma'am.
Ended up pleading guilty to disturbing the peace by fighting, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you had a preliminary hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
At the preliminary hearing, you claimed you had proof that the victim was making this up. You claimed to have video. You claimed to have affidavits, but you failed to present any of that at your revocation hearing.
That is correct. I was here in the jail and I did not have any of the information. And
What
I
about
was,
today? What about
Ma'am?
today? What about today? You knew that you were having a hearing today.
yes, ma'am. I had everything from my attorney, Dawn Frazier. She
Mhm.
received all that information. She had the videos and everything and sent the dossier over to the district attorney's office, which is why they dropped the charge down to just disturbing the peace.
What about at your revocation today? We need that if that's in fact true.
No,
Right.
ma'am, I do not. I don't have any video or access to do any type of video.
You can call a lawyer. Your lawyer could have provided that for
It was, ma'am, she was a public defender.
so.
Everything was dropped down to the disturbing the peace because I had.
Let's start with the fake tears. I'm not there. Mr. Pender,
Yes, ma'am.
it's not unusual for people to accept reduced plea of domestic battery because they think that that will prevent them from being revoked. But we're more interested in what actually happened in this case.
Me and Brittany got into it and we started yelling at each other and that was it. And I told her to leave. That was it. I never laid a finger on that girl. I swear to God, I never laid a finger on that girl.
Well, again, all I have is yours saying that. I don't have, you claim parole officer.
Was there any, has there been any, she's already even told me she was writing an email to y'all.
I'm not aware of or having received any email from her.
Ugh.
What were you doing prior to being locked up on this parole?
I work and I fish with my sons.
What kind of work were you doing this?
Offshore, and then when I'm not offshore, I work for Vogland Home and Business Solutions, which is a boathouse and dock repair for all waterfront properties.
And how long have you been on supervision?
I got out February. I was released from jail February the 28th. I've been under Mr. Carroll's supervision since then. I was paid up on all my fines. I was never late. I've never failed a drug test.
Where do you live?
109 Circle Drive,
Where?
Bill, Louisiana.
Marksville?
Yes, ma'am.
Farmerville or Marksville?
Farmerville.
How much time are you backing up?
I would be released, I believe it's December the 18th of this year. And I don't, Lord, please have mercy. I just got everything started going good again with my kids, and oh,
Mr. Pender, one thing that goes a long way with me for other members of the board is truthfulness. The ability to admit that you did something wrong and
yes, ma'am.
accept responsibility. We have a copy of the police report where Brittany on September 3rd said that Jeremy beat her ass. There was an argument because he heard that she was leaving with another male subject. And you struck her on the side of her forehead and her eye. Police actually saw mark on her face, slightly swollen on her left cheek or temple. And the marks were consistent with her statement that she had been struck by you. There was a dark bruise and a scratch on her left arm, just above the elbow. And it was because you drug her off the bed and you hit her. Now, sit there and shake your head and say all of that if you want to. That doesn't help you.
Ma'am, the video that was shown to the district attorney proved that was made up.
You say. So you say. We don't have any of that, Ms. Pender, or I don't have any other questions.
I admit to fussing and fighting with her, but there was never a physical altercation with Brittany. There never was. I don't do that.
All right, would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
I know this looks terrible. I swear to you, and I put it on everything as I am sitting here, there was never a physical altercation between me and Brittany. There was yelling, there was screaming, that was it. There was never a physical altercation. I would never do anything to jeopardize losing more time away from my kids that I already lost from a stupid mistake before. I learned my lesson the first time and I would never repeat that again.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Is panel prepared to vote?
I am, Mr. Pender,
Yes,
I'm Persia.
yeah, no, go ahead. It's your case. It's your case.
Ms. Pender, you know, you're on parole for second-degree battery.
Yes, ma'am.
There was evidence presented, at preliminary hearing through the police report, the officer. There were visible signs of injury to the victim. You claim to have all of this documentation at the hearing, but you didn't present anything. You knew that you had a hearing today, and today you have presented nothing. I find that you have violated the conditions of the release, and my vote today is to revoke you,
Man.
turn you to serve out the balance of your sentence.
Ms. Renatza,
Mr. Pender, my vote is the same for the same reason.
and I vote to revoke as well for the same reasons as stated. 3 votes to revoke. Today your parole been revoked. We'll adjourn.
Can I please make a statement?
Fair.
Is there any way that you could at least email the district attorney to get the video proof where the victim was striking herself?
Yeah.
It was all recorded on video.
All right, we'll adjourn at 12:09. Talk to them there about that. 12:09.
You can't make it up, really. I think that he probably gets his acting lessons from Amber Heard. It's like I couldn't help it, man. First he starts, so he goes in here, right? He's on parole from second-degree battery. Now he goes and beats his wife, girlfriend, Brittany, and he ends up back locked up. And now he has his hearing. If he gets denied, he's going to be in prison for another year until December. So this hearing happened what, January 5th, so a full like a year. So his strategy is, okay, what do I do? What do I do? So first he has a checklist, right? First he does the fake crying. That lasts about 3 seconds. Miss Jackson shuts it down. Then he says that, well, Brittany sent you an email. Well, we didn't get an email. So then he goes to his third. Well, I have video footage of me not hitting her. And they're like, well, where's the footage? And he's like, well, my attorney. Well, where's your attorney? Well, my attorney's a public defender. And they're like, okay. Okay, so he went through 3. Then he goes to his 4th at this last moment. He says, email the district attorney. They have video footage of Brittany hitting herself. You can't make it up. Dude. Man, you can't make it up. I'm just glad it was a quick hearing, because this guy, should we call him a clown? Like, we have cockroaches for the worst of the worst. Should we call the fake criers Amber Heard or clowns? Yeah, I don't feel bad for someone like that. Even at the beginning of his thing, he tries to make himself seem like a great guy. He's like, oh, well, what do you do? Well, I work and I go fishing with my son. You know, I just don't feel bad for someone who beats women. They're women. He dragged her out of the bed, beat her in the head. There's a police report, and yet he goes on this whole thing that she hit herself in the head. Anyways, glad to see this guy spending another year, and he has a long time to think about his actions. Or hey, maybe the district attorney will come back with the video. You never know. But with that, I'll let you go.